Now you see where that chain go. Chain gang off that mainframe for my main thing like Django. Bout a nigga like Shango. Old school with that can't go. Right hand on my buckle, bitch. Left hand.
Greetings, fight fans.
Do you know what that
Greetings, everyone. What is up, DMV? We are back in the building. Of course, you are with DMVCS and you are in the clinch.
In the clinch.
On a Sunday evening here, March 16, 2014, in the nation's capital, where we are stateside in the studios of WLVS. We are worldwide on listenvisionlive.com. What's up, everybody? Thank you for taking a little time out of your Sunday evening to spend with us. Of course, it's your boy Lesson. To my right, that's, of course, the man, Manny Z.
That's right. Big Manny Cool is in the building, and outside currently looks like Gotham City.
It does. It is snowing once again, and we are all in snow fatigue. I think we all like to put Mother Nature in the clinch right about now.
Shoot, tie clinch like Anderson. You better believe it, buddy.
But, yo, man, we got to definitely thank you guys. Of course, man, you're here live with us on WLVS Radio, DMVCS, in the clinch. Always make sure you go follow us on Twitter, at DMVCS, on Instagram, at DMVCS, the number 2. That's DMVCS 2 on Instagram. Facebook, you can find us underneath DMVCS Radio. Just search us. And, of course, you can find us here on the station website as well. And email us, go DMVCS at gmail.com. But we're here again, man, after a great UFC 171 main event last night between Johnny Big Rick Hendricks
for the ages
and Ruthless Robbie Lawler. But it was a great show. We'll get into all that, man. I'll get into the news. And, of course, we're also going to talk to Mike Drahota from Low Kick MMA and MMA Mania of SB Nation. He will talk to us about UFC 171 last night.
All right, and I'd like to open the show by giving a shout-out to two people, particularly one person that we know we came up together, a long time ago.
Yep.
And that would be Miss Tara Scamardella, a
Indeed.
very big fan of the show, and also my college colleague, Miss Jasmine Drayton, for giving me some motivation and then texting me before the show saying, go out there and break a leg. Not like Anderson, but, go break a leg.
Indeed. Not like Anderson, but break a leg. We appreciate the love as always. So make sure you're following us on all of our social networks. And make sure that you email us and, like the page and show us some love here, man. But we do it all for you here, DMV and worldwide, for everything combat sports every Sunday night. So, aside from getting to the big business, of course, UFC 171 last night, Hendricks-Lawler, we start off the week, and, of course, this week is no different than any other. We're starting off with the news.
All right, let's get into the news.
So, the first news item of the night, news coming out of course, for future Ultimate Fighter. The first time in UFC history, the company will now host back-to-back events on consecutive nights in the same venue. On Thursday, UFC President Dana White confirmed the promotion would indeed follow July's UFC 175 event with another fight card at the Mandalay Bay Event Center on Sunday, July the 6th. So now UFC officials have revealed it will indeed be the Ultimate Fighter 19 finale as it was previously rumored. UFC 175 takes place one night prior at the same venue. And it airs on pay-per-view, and there are currently no bouts reported or rumored for either card, but the dual events will be part of UFC's International Fight Week 2014, which runs July 1st to 6th. A full schedule of the week's activities are expected to be announced shortly. The UFC Fan Expo also takes place at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center.
Nice.
Now, the Ultimate Fighter 19 finale serves as the live tournament final of the Ultimate Fighter 19, which debuts later this year on Fox Sports 1. Former UFC lightweight champions Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn serve as coaches of the season, which will see middleweight.
BJ Penn, man, he's a cool cat.
Yeah, man, just a UFC legend, a guy who stuck in for fighting some of the toughest bouts out there that we've seen.
No question about it. His battles with George St. Pierre and Matt Hughes are legendary.
Yeah. They will serve as coaches, Edgar and BJ Penn will, and then we'll see middleweight and lightweight UFC hopefuls compete for a 6-figure UFC contract. And then, of course, one more time, Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn are expected to meet in a 145-pound contest at the conclusion of the series.
Now, that's going to be an interesting fight because this is the first time ever these two have met at the featherweight.
Yeah.
Seeing how that their two first title fights for the lightweight championship were something epic because I still want them to go another 5 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
Exactly, yeah. I was like glued when I saw them the first. I was like, I got to see it again.
Who doesn't want to see that? And we've seen, if there are any two other bigger poster childs for the underdog in UFC, it would have to be Frankie and BJ. Two guys that have pulled fights out of their rear ends, guys that have fought and brawled to the very last bell or the very last horn of the very last round of so many bouts we've seen over the years.
Oh, yes, and BJ's had some, especially with his first-round stoppages of Cal Uno and Takanori Gomi, to his bouts with Matt Hughes and against George St. Pierre, and when they were battling to see who was the most dominant champion of their era, and his Diego Sanchez stoppage, where he cracked Diego Sanchez's head open, and they had to medically stop the fight because you saw his brain matter.
Exciting nonetheless, and we'll be looking forward to the Ultimate Fighter 19 finale coming up in July. That will be after UFC 175 as well that same weekend. So it looks like we have a date now and an event that is stuck to the Rampage versus King Mo light heavyweight finale in Bellator. Officials announced earlier this week that, of course, Rampage Jackson will meet King Mo Muhammad Lawal on Bellator 120. And they will be facing off in the Season 10 light heavyweight tournament final on May 17th. The show, which also featured a previously announced headliner and trilogy between lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler, takes place at Landers Center in South Haven, Mississippi, just outside of Memphis. The pay-per-view card is expected to follow the prelims that will be on Spike TV. Tickets for the event go on sale on Friday. And it's big for Rampage because Rampage is born in Memphis, and that's not too far. That's right there near his stomping grounds. He said he's been wanting to come back to Memphis for the last decade and finally getting the chance to fight in one of the biggest fights of his career for Bellator. He said, as being a part of the Bellator family for a while now, I feel like the old Rampage, and that's not a good thing for Mo. I'm back. I'm a monster, and I'm looking to put on another entertaining fight for all my fans May 17th.
That does not sound good for King Mo fans.
Not at all. Of course, they both got there with Rampage's dispatching of Christian Pumbu.
That was dispatching.
At Bellator 110, and
that was a dispatching lesson.
Hey, he dispatched him? Did he not?
No, I think it was just he totally obliterated him.
I was being soft for the time at that point.
Yeah,
and then of course,
was.
King Mo in a very uninspiring, but nonetheless a win over Mikhail Zayats.
I fell asleep when he was fighting. I was just like, okay, just give me something, King.
Yeah, but this got to be big for Rampage. It's always good to go back home. And it's nothing better than going home and putting on a victory. Now, what you don't want to do is be Mark Hominick and go home and get knocked out in 8 seconds.
Oh, my God. That's still one of the biggest highlight reels of 2013. I was just like, I took a sip of my beer and he was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I went into the kitchen and he was gone.
Yeah, the machine got dismantled that night.
So next news item up we have, of course, Ronda Rousey is making some news saying that earlier this week, that she'd be willing to move up to 145, but only to fight Gina Carano, and only Gina.
Really? No.
Yeah, so we've been going through this over the last couple of weeks about the story of Chris Justino, a.k.a. Cyborg, calling out Ronda, saying that she'd be willing to drop down to 135 just to retire her, and Ronda pretty much not making any concessions as far as willing to go up in weight, but now she's saying she's willing to go up to 145. So here's the story. She says, she told MMA Junkie, and of course our news items are courtesy of MMA Junkie. She says, for Gina, there would be exceptions that I would make for Gina that I wouldn't for anyone else. Now, she's expected to fight Kat Zingano later this year for her fourth attempted title defense, and Zingano was reaching 100% after she suffered from a torn ACL nearly a year ago. But she is, lately though, the rumors have been buzzing as a fight between Rousey and Carano, who was the first face of women mixed martial arts and last fought under the now defunct Strikeforce banner. Now, Gina's reps have been silent on the rumors, which were stoked at an interview by UFC commentator Joe Rogan he gave to LA radio show. UFC President Dana White has downplayed the talks of the negotiations, but yet there's still talk there when, she's willing to move up to 145 to face Gina, but Cyborg is there, what she could fight at 145, and there's no talk of even Cyborg even being in the conversation. And famously, Gina went to retirement and was beaten by Cyborg going into retirement. So, this is only going to not only spark more rumors between Ronda and now Gina, but hey, if you're going to go at 145 to fight Gina, why don't you stay there and fight Cyborg?
Hey, that's what I was questioning too, but there were still also speculations because Christine Cyborg tested positive for a banned substance. So that brought a lot of her knockouts under, the Elite XC and Strikeforce banner under question. But since she's been in Invicta, she hasn't showed no slowdown. And I think that a lot of the fans would like to see Ronda fight her at 145.
Of course. I mean, because if she's clean, again, that's a big if.
Yeah, that's a big if.
That's a big if. If she's clean, if you're going to jump up to 145 to fight Gina Carano, why not stay up there and fight Cyborg and give everybody the fight they've been wanting? Everyone the fight they've been wanting.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to see Gina fight, Michelle Rodriguez at Fast 6, so why can't she, do this?
Exactly. So, some numbers last night from UFC 171, which was in Dallas at the American Airlines Center. Of course, the numbers are always great. The UFC last night reported attendance announced at 19,324. There were more people there probably last night than it were for some Dallas Maverick games.
Or Dallas Cowboys games, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I don't know about that. There probably are at least 20,000 Cowboys.
Lesson, we've already had the discussion before the show. Wake me up when the Dallas Cowboys win the playoff game past 1998, please.
So, $2.6 million for the live gate. So they drew that announced attendance of 19,000 plus 2.6 for a live gate, which is a very, very good live gate in city Dallas, where they don't venture to too often. Multiple stops over the years, but of course it was big last night. Johnny Hendricks out of Oklahoma, fighting out of Dallas, was the hometown boy last night.
Yes, he was.
And it was a very good atmosphere there last night. They're going to verify the figures and release an official tally sometime next week for the live gate at UFC 171.
Definitely.
So, everyone's seen the clips, and if you haven't, if you're not into mixed martial arts as a hardcore fan, you've seen it somewhere. If you watched some sort of television with some sort of mixed martial arts, anything UFC related, you saw the clips from the Ultimate Fighter in Brazil, and the supposed confrontation that happened between Chael Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva. That fight
wasn't a confrontation lesson.
That fight that they got into got out of hand with another fighter from the Ultimate Fighter getting involved, and that fight has now been thrown off the show. So this is, of course, courtesy of our friend Mike Drahota from LowKickMMA.com. This is actually courtesy of his site. It says the latest drama surrounding Sonnen is not about a scuffle with Silva, but an alleged incident with one of Silva's fight team. The name of the supposed attacker is yet to be made public, but word on the grapevine is that fighter Andre Didas was the culprit. Now, this is what Chael had to say earlier this week about that. He said, "I'm not positive on the name. I've never met the gentleman. I never did. And after the whole thing happened, he got thrown out. And to quote Dana White told him he ought to be arrested. But I never did meet him. I'm not sure."
Oh, geez.
Now, Sonnen's jives and tirades about the nation of Brazil have been now famous. Certainly given a lot of people ammunition in the past.
Yes,
only months ago, he was attacked by an irate Brazilian fans. And the scuffle with Wanderlei's fight team comes as no surprise to most fans. Now, the war in Brazil all started for Chael when he was booked to face Anderson Silva for the first time at UFC 117.
Yes, it did.
The self-proclaimed people's champ did not mince his words when slating the Spider, publicly disrespecting Silva's home country at every opportunity. Now, what was originally meant to be a selling point for the fight has actually turned out to be a pretty big part of Chael's image, as we know.
Yes,
hence the reason why I call him Frank Edmund III.
And poetically, I might add.
Whether or not he wants to be known as the guy who hates Brazil, Chael seems to always be stuck on that monitor. It was always seems to be risky to send him into enemy territory in a place where he's talked about them so bad.
I mean, religiously, lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talked about the entire country of Brazil, the fighters that came from Brazil. He's gone on about Anderson's kids, Anderson's wife. I mean, that thing he said about Anderson's wife before their last encounter, that I would slap her on the ass and tell her to go in the kitchen, make me a steak, medium rare, just the way I like it. That's how you do the beef was real, son. They had drama in the streets.
Yeah, and and Wanderlei's a guy that he's not going to back down, especially not from Chael Sonnen.
Of course not. This is a pride legend.
Yeah,
exactly. The
exactly.
guy who, before Rampage knocked him out the first time, nobody could touch him.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And a guy that his moniker and his nickname is the Axe Murderer.
The Axe Murderer.
Okay.
He has it tattooed on both forearms.
Yeah, and I mean, just to see how intense he is in the ring, this is the same guy that when he finally got to a pre-fight conference, press conference with Chuck Liddell, turned and looked at him and said, "I'm going to knock you out."
Yeah.
Now, he didn't, But
he got his grill.
But he got in his grill, and this is a guy who had never been knocked out in any MMA form, hadn't been submitted since Pride. Chuck Liddell, who was at the pinnacle of UFC at that time, and he just looked him straight in the face and say, "You know what? I'm gonna knock you out." Because those two have been trying to get into their fights have been postponed and having to be rescheduled so many different times. And then when they did fight, it was actually a hell of a fight.
Oh yeah,
any guy that can go for a guy who was at the top of his game, and Chuck Liddell and Wanderlei is a guy you don't want to mess around with. But Chael pushes the buttons. You want to know what Chael is good for? He's good for ratings. He's very good for ratings.
That's the question, because he puts asses in seats, and people will pay to see Chael get beat up.
Exactly. He's a unique character, to say the very least.
Call that unique lesson?
He's a unique character.
He's a loudmouth.
He's a guy, though, I think, after seeing him on UFC Tonight and some other shows, that I think after he's done with mixed martial arts, actually have a pretty good career in television. I think that people would I mean, all things aside, him being a self-promoter, being a loudmouth, and being a bit more than what he claims to be. Very. I still think he would be very good for television. I think he would be one of the guys that would.
I love his commentary, but it's just with him and the other fighters, there's always some drama on the low end.
Always. It's always some drama. So that's our news items of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we want to thank you for joining us, DMVCS and the Clinch. You are listening on ListenVisionLive.com, and you are in the house with us in the Listen Vision Studios in Washington, D.C. Of course, a shout out to our viewers worldwide. Of course, UFC 171, me and this man watched it last night. We were very impressed by some of the action, not so impressed by some of the other action. But a very good main event last night. There's a new welterweight champion in the UFC for the first time in 6 years. It's not named Georges St. Pierre.
It's not?
And his name is Johnny Hendricks, pulling out a win last night against ruthless Robbie Lawler, who was game.
Very
every
game.
bit, and made as a story out of it, as some of us would like to say, by having a very good comeback in the third and fourth rounds last night. But Big Rig getting a big moment last night. We're going to talk about that coming up. We actually have a very special guest coming up with us In the Clinch. We're going to talk to Mr. Mike Drahota, editor of MMANation.com on SB Nation blogosphere, and also he is the chief editor of LowKickMMA.com. He's going to talk some UFC 171 with us coming up next. Of course, make sure you tweet us at DMVCS on Twitter, and make sure that you're following us on Instagram at DMVCS2, and on Facebook, DMVCS Radio. Like the page, tweet us, favorite something, retweet something, like a picture, whatever you want. We got all types of good stuff in there for combat sports each and every day leading up to the week. And of course, you're in the Clinch every Sunday night, WLVS Radio. On the other side of the break, we'll be talking to Mike Drahota of MMANation.com and LowKickMMA.com. We're taking a break now. We'll be right back in the Clinch, WLVS.
Yeah, it's game time. This game, your time. Is it now? Insane. This game for the crown. Is it now? Stakes high, put it down. This game, your time, put it down. Let's.
Yeah. It's like some niggas pop mollies, smoke weed, and drink liquor to get high. Yeah, I just stay high off life, you know? Talk to him, cat. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on life. Damn, what the hell I'm thinking? I'm sitting behind that wheel, and I can't stop drinking. The Patron in my system, it got me gone as fuck. Damn, I hope I don't hit them. And all I see is purple rain. The girl right next to me, all she do is fucking complain. Always just me on how I bottle my pain. If you seen the shit I've been through, then you would do the same. But it's all good, shit. Life be keeping me on the high. I do this shit all again, as long as I don't die. Let me enjoy every moment to occupy my mind. You can judge if you want, I'm just having a good time. Turn up, like I'm on the come up. I'm fucking up my liver like I ain't even the owner. Riding around my city doing parking lot donuts. Living life like the fuck I wanna. You feel me? Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Yo, I gotta do it big, life. I stay overdose on.
Yo, I just had another dream. I was falling out the sky in the world with a stain. Some things don't always what they seem, but the patterns keep forming, so I wonder what they mean. We all go through the motions, swinging in the breeze, thoughts rumble like the ocean. Life is narcotics and I feel it's all the potion. Catch a hangover if you keep your emotions. It's a heavy dosage. Constantly we going overload. One too many, maybe not, while we falling overboard. High as a kite off life, intoxicated off existence, persistence with that dynamite. Rehab's the plans, that's that you speak not. Chronic living like I'm Dr. Dre, no detox. Getting drunk off the hating and I'm wasted off the love. That's why I'm sweating off the drama, why you wonder what it does.
Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on life. Yo, I gotta do it big. Yo, I gotta do it big. Can't live this life twice. Can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Life. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life.
Yes, we are back in the Clinch, DMVCS, WLVS Radio, ListenVisionLive.com. You are back in the house with Lesson and Manny Z here on a Sunday night, a sunny Sunday in the nation's capital. Unfortunately, once again, we are tapped out right now from snow, and I'm about ready for it to go away, man. I just
don't want to just discuss snow for the rest of 2014. It's
Indeed, yeah. Let's all get back on to combat sports. Of course, UFC 171 last night. Big win, of course, talking about the new welterweight champion, Johnny Big Rig Hendricks. Unanimous decision, 48-47, all three judges over ruthless Robbie Lawler. But we have a very special guest in the house right now. We have with us Mike Drahota from MMANation.com. He is an editor there. They are part of the SB Nation family of blogs, and he is the chief editor of LowKickMMA.com. He's here to talk a little bit of UFC 171. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, guys. How's it to be here?
Oh, I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to have you,
brother. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. So UFC 171 last night. Outstanding action in some parts of this of some of the prelims, and of course on the main card last night. But starting with the main bout, Big Rig, Johnny Hendricks, ruthless Robbie Lawler, unanimous decision last night, and really a telling fight, and a fight that had, I think, three stories to it. You had round 1 and 2, you had rounds 3 and 4, and then you had the final round where everything was pretty much decided. But just your take last night on what you saw from the champ, and then also a defeated challenger, but a game challenger in Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, without a doubt, a great fight. Dana White said it's an all-time classic. I don't know if I'm ready to deem it just that fight. Great fight for sure. I think that Hendricks is awesome. The most impressive thing to me was that every half hour in wrestling. But he won by mixing it up with a ton of the diverse strikes with his low and knee and combo. And then said, third round, he first, so the hot champ. But now we're young. There's a ton of contenders, and Woodley wants a shot at Hendricks. I don't think he's quite ready yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, because I agree with Lesson after we watched the pay-per-view, Mr. Drahota, that Rory McDonald will be the more likely prototypical person next in line for the title.
Yep, I agree. And I think that Nick Diaz is campaigning for the bout, but it's hard to see him talking his way into a title.
Yeah, I don't think Nick.
Yeah,
man.
Nick probably couldn't even be mayor of DC right now.
Yeah. You know what's funny, Mike, is that I find a guy like Nick that really, to me, got really pummeled and outclassed in the last fight against GSP, where he decided he was going to take some time off the sport. Had some balls to step out there and to say, hey, I want a shot at the champ next because I beat all these guys. And then even his brother, as we'll talk about later, his brother stepped out on Twitter, said, you know, my brother beat all these guys. You guys suck. It just kind of cracks me up to think he would be ready to stop when there's so many guys in front of him. Even a guy that's been a veteran MMA fighter for a long time in a number of different promotions who want to step out there. When you have so many guys in this welterweight division last night, I mean, 3 bouts on the card last night alone were just guys who all had wanted to have some sort of stake to having a title shot next.
Without a doubt, man. And there's just a ton of contenders, and he has to kind of talk his way into it. I just don't see it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him talk his way into it out with Rory McDonald. I would be surprised to see that fight.
Yeah, you know, and Nate is great at boxing, but the type of boxing and striking we saw from Rory McDonald against Damian Maia last week it's a whole nother level, and a guy that I would love to see to get a title shot personally. But a little bit more on Hendricks-Lawler last night is that we saw in the first couple of rounds Johnny establishing, of course, like you said, that jab, those combinations, but then Robbie in the last two rounds 3 and 4 with that jab really being able to keep Johnny at bay, and then following up with those overhand rights, those combinations. And then when you got down in round 5, that's when the fight was decided. And you got to think, man, it's like we were all screaming for Johnny to take him out on the ground, you know, shots to the head and just knock him out. But what he chose to do at that point, very interesting, went for the takedown with about a minute and a half left in the fight, and then controlled the fight there on the ground for the next minute at least. And that's what I think was the deciding factor where he won the fight last night. It was interesting though, because I thought, you know, knowing Johnny and his nature and some of the highlight knockouts that he's had, you would have thought he would have tried to add Robbie to that, but instead he went for the points and got the takedown and able to control up against the cage for like the last minute and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was obviously a very winning step. It's kind of interesting because Hendricks, when he lost to DPA doing one step, you know, his face was all busted. I love the reverse was the last night. And you don't see him, I just had to get the point. But it was a win strategy. I think that Bob, you know, he found a heart, you know. He just took the deal. He really had.
Yeah, Mike, we're having some trouble getting you here. If you could, I don't know if you're on a cell phone, or you could maybe move around and see if we can get to a better area. But we do get the fact Johnny's face was busted up pretty good last night.
No question, like somebody shot him in the face
in those 3rd and 4th rounds.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But you know, and Mike, if you're still there, but interesting.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, sorry about that, guys.
That's okay, no problem. But definitely, Johnny last night with the tactical decision to do that. But this weight class, and we'll move into this next. Another guy who was hoping to be in that fray was Tyron, the chosen one, Woodley.
T Wood.
Yeah, T Wood last night, very aggressive in the first couple of rounds against Carlos Condit, a guy who of course has an outstanding stand up himself in the ring. And then just to see how that ended last night, I think that while he said that he wasn't taking anything away from the victory last night, the fact that Carlos suffered this knee injury, and it was clearly done at some point in time during that takedown before the actual leg kick happened, it had to be a bit disappointing, not just in his eyes, but maybe it may have dampened his chances to get a title shot right away like he wanted.
Yeah. And Woodley, beast right. I think that striking starts to match his wrestling, which is scary thought because of the division.
Yes, very scary.
And some that talk about he would much. I had an exclusive interview with him this week, and he's just got such focus that can't break. He has time in whatever situation. But still, it's just sad to see how confidence goes down like that. You know, it's kind of like in Silva situation. Not as bad. I think that this ending, you know, you would have liked Condit back. Look like what now.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like a freak injury. You saw his knee explode, and he did a complete 180 and fell down, versus where with Anderson, of course, and Lesson knows this, that I cannot watch that footage ever again from his leg breaking in two.
Yeah.
Right.
It was. But you do want to see a guy like T-Wood be aggressive. You would have liked to have seen a knockout victory from him. I think that he would have staked his case last night with an impressive knockout victory, non-knee injury, Carlos Condit.
Oh, very much so.
Exactly.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It's much better for him to just get that knockout.
Yeah, exactly. And so moving on to the card, Mike, a guy who we spoke about last week, we previewed UFC 171, me and Manny, and we talked about Miles Jury, and I said his name last week on the show, and Manny famously said who? I said, well, I tell you who he is.
I stand corrected, and shout out and apologies to Miles Jury and his fans. I became a fan last night.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, what he is he's undefeated.
I'm a firm believer of that. He showcased it.
Yeah, he's undefeated, and this was a guy last night that showed a lot against a guy that we know can go in there and bang and give exciting fights, and he controlled the fight for a guy like that, as Diego, out of control as Diego can be, to control the fight, and to be a kid only 25 years old against a guy who Ultimate Fighter season number 1 winner is a veteran to step out and to do this. He really impressed a lot of people last night. He impressed Manny. He had impressed me from what I saw before. So, and this is a kid that's going to have this some sort of say at lightweight or in some division soon in the UFC.
Without a doubt. And Jury has a great backstory, that you wouldn't know until he kind of had his coming out party last night at UFC 171, because he's kind of from a rough background where he's been doing jiu-jitsu, kind of a life coach. Yeah, there's some jiu-jitsu. And he's actually in 2005.
Yeah. He's been in for a while.
Years ago, a 25-year-old, you don't see that too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a kid like just has had an impressive one against another MMA vet, Michael Johnson, and this one against Diego Sanchez really opened some people's eyes. He's going to be somebody to talk to over the next couple of years if he stays around and continues beating names like those, with performances like he did last night. I mean, I think the control more than anything else. We know we talk about all the factors of what the judges look at when you win a fight, but they talk about octagon control. Miles Jury showed octagon control last night,
no question,
against a guy who can flip the tables on you, as Gilman Melendez found out
viciously,
and a lot of other guys that have been on his resume. And to me, for a kid being that young with his backstory, he's destined for a lot of big things. And I was very impressed to see him last night to step up against Diego.
Yeah, he looked great. And also, his main thing, like you said, he wouldn't let that to a brawl.
Yeah.
So you can't take anything away from Jones either. But did you guys read today that Diego Sanchez ate an appetizer that was raw beef with quail on it, had food with vomit today during the fight day?
Oh goodness! Wow!
Diego, no.
This guy ate something that was undercooked on the day of a fight. Wow!
Really?
Yeah.
Really, Diego?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we have our first nominee.
He posted the menu to the restaurant on Twitter.
Oh, Diego, no.
What? I think I'm ringing the bell here, Manny. I think we have our first nominee of Dumbass of the Year, right there with Mr. Diego Sanchez.
But he said he can't take anything away from Jury.
No, of course not. No. You know what? He talked a lot of trash coming in to say, this kid, I'm gonna be the first loss he has of his career. Not to say he was dismissive of the kid, but I think he didn't take him as, like, I'm Diego Sanchez. Who is this kid? Undefeated, fighting nobodies. But he found out last night that Miles Jury is a somebody and will be a somebody soon.
He is somebody. He's Miles Jury, and
I think Jury's in line for a big fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and you said he beat Michael Johnson. I think he beat a different Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson is on fire right now.
No question. Michael Johnson has a ball of fire.
I think that they should put Jury up against TJ Grant if he ever comes back.
Yeah, that would be a very good fight.
Nice. Well, we're all going to be looking out for this kid. And then to move to the fight before that, Hector Lombard and Jake Shields. Now, Lightning came out and was aggressive in the first round or so. But as I told him, I was very frustrated watching that fight. To me, it didn't inspire a lot of confidence in anyone who was watching it.
No.
Hector came out and handled business, but Jake didn't want to engage.
Didn't want to engage him.
Didn't want to engage him.
He wasn't going for
on
any
the
type
outside.
of sweeps on the bottom.
He pulled that guillotine out at the end of the round. He did give him props for setting that up because he went for it, but it was way too late in the round.
It was way too late.
Saved by the bell. Lombard goes on to win 30-27, 29-28. And you know what was funny? Rogan was saying last night the fact that a judge may have given Jake that round for that guillotine alone would have been absurd. But obviously, it seems like they did. But not a very inspiring fight last night. And it's just for two guys in that crowded welterweight division, the last thing you want to do is to go out and have a boring fight. And to me, it was boring. I give Lightning props for going out and for attacking for Jake and Jake didn't want to engage him. That's got to be frustrating for anybody.
Well, because he took the first punch that Lombard had and knocked him right on his ass into the cage. So
yeah, and then but it's not a very inspiring fight last night. But for a guy like Jake Shields, I mean, that's got to be disappointing.
Exactly. Shields, man.
You come out not even perform. After he talked a lot of trash before the fight as well.
Talking about how Lombard doesn't want to stand with me. Well, Lombard doesn't want to go to the ground with me. Nobody likes Lombard. It's like, what?
That was a huge opportunity for both of those guys. You really could have made a statement with a finish win in that fight.
Absolutely.
But I think that, like we've been seeing, fights that have a lot of trash just don't deliver really.
You're right.
And Lombard, I think he came out and his kick was to him almost at full power, and I was surprised to see Shields not knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
He made it, and then he gets you on the ground, and he makes you look bad. You know?
Yeah, because he couldn't do anything about it.
He looks bad, making you look bad.
Very bad.
You know what? I think that's the explanation of the week right there.
He looked bad, making him look bad.
I mean, he wouldn't engage him at all on the feet. I mean, it's just no way to get. Jay Shields says, "Oh, I'm going to be getting close to a title shot." Well, even if you win a fight like that, no, you're not. Dana White does not like that.
Yeah,
and for good reason.
Exactly. It was a very uninspiring fight, though, last night, Mike, and I just, it's just, oh God,
But who do you think Lombard should fight next, though?
Well,
he needs a big fight.
Yeah, he does need a big fight. But I think that if you're kind of picking and drawing at straws, I mean, I would like to see Roy McDonald get a title fight, but if he doesn't, I would like to see him fight Lombard.
Now that would be lightning
I
in a
agree.
bottle.
I would like to see Roy McDonald Lombard, and I think it would be great as a co-main event coming up because I think that would be a fight that we're going to see who Big Rig gets next. This is the guy right here that he needs to get next.
Lombard fight T Wood.
Yeah, right. Or Lombard fight T Wood. I mean, that welterweight division's so stacked right now that you got guys that are sitting and waiting.
T Wood is crazy.
Yeah.
But
I'd pay to see that.
They're teammates, though, right? At American top teams, so you don't know if they're going to fight each other. Lawler trains there too, so I mean,
it's a big question.
That's three of the top guys.
Yeah, but I mean, when we talk about guys who want to get a shot at the belt, we've seen teammates and former teammates. Yeah,
because that's what happened with Rashad and John Jones.
Exactly. So the loyalty goes out of the window when the gold gets put in the discussion. Of course, we're talking to Mike.
What about Lombard versus Stun Gun? Winner of
that would be good too. Korean Stun Gun.
Young Kim, who was very impressive in the Tough China finale. It's just what he told us told everyone to get a new stun gun, and that elbow was a highlight reel knockout.
That for knockout of the year.
Yeah,
got to put it up there.
Of course, ladies.
I don't know. I mean, you knock out a professional. John Hathaway's never been knocked out before.
Yeah, and if you do something to a guy that's never been done to him before, it speaks volumes. I
mean, he's due for a big fight, but like you said, it's just so crowded.
It is a crowded welterweight division, man, out there. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're in DMVCS and the Clinch. We are talking to Mike Drahota from LowKickMMA.com and MMA Mania. He's the chief editor of Low Kick MMA and MMA Mania. He's the editor there on the SB Nation family of blogs. The last fight, of course, here on this one is one that we chuckled about before we came on the air. But OSP, Ovin St. Pro, defeating the
I want to learn that. I want to learn that lesson.
I mean, this Von Flue choke.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sitting here looking at it, and before we even knew it, the fight was over.
Yeah.
The ref stepped in. I mean, Krylov was unconscious from this Von Flue choke. I mean, it's a very rare submission. But your thoughts on when you saw that last night, to see him submit him in the most unconventional way, that, inside control. He was in the guillotine. The guillotine wasn't fully in, but from side control, putting this guy to sleep in a Von Flue choke.
I think it's kind of a rule of thumb that you don't go for a one-arm guillotine when your opponent has you in side control.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the leverage to finish it anyway, and you leave yourself open for that. It's a rare move, don't get me wrong, but I was surprised too. I was like, what happened? All of a sudden, Krylov was just passed.
Gone.
And, it was like, what? And
yeah,
I think that OS looked good. I mean, he has a lot of not striking, but he had a good game with him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
And he's a beast.
Oh, yeah, he is.
OSP is the truth. No question.
6'3", he's got a big reach.
Yeah.
I want to see him fight the loser of Phil Davis, Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, that was a fight that we saw last night that we're keeping our eyes on.
Oh, definitely.
The return of Rumble to the UFC after showing out on the World Series of Fight. He's back with the UFC. He's fighting the guy Phil Davis, and oh goodness, I would love to see an OSP match against either Phil Davis or Anthony Rumble Johnson.
That's pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's got to be the loser though.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a guy though. He made an impression on me last night.
Yeah. See, we should have our viewers looking. Yeah, that's what the Von Flue choke looks like, where he just
where he was getting them, and then just all of a sudden he's asleep.
He's gone.
He was asleep.
He was gone.
And that of course won submission of the night last night, and other bonuses. Of course, Hendricks-Lawler getting fight of the night. Well, not necessarily. Submission. There's now these performances of the night bonuses. Performance of the night's honors. And then of course there was the last honor last night was Dennis Bermudez in the prelims with the knockout. Of course, dominated Jimmy Hedges and finished with that knee for that third round TKO.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by that one. I didn't see where Denny came for that one.
That was nice.
Yeah. So and Jessica Andrade last night with Pennington during the prelims as well, Mike. If you saw it, they had a very entertaining fight for 3 rounds as well, back and forth banging up top. But of course, the story is the welterweight division and John Bigwig getting his shot at the crown and winning it, and now he has to watch out. His back is the target of many people now in that welterweight division. Yeah. So we saw GSP hold that belt for 6 years, and now Johnny has the potential to be a very long reigning champion. But when you have it in the welterweight division where so many guys are gunning for you, he has his work cut out for him over the next few defenses.
Man. And I mean, I would be so bold as to say that a fully motivated GSP would have beat all those guys pretty handily, man, last night.
And that's, that's definitely an argument that could be made. A fully motivated GSP being the
guy on the way out.
Nah, not the guy on the way out, or the guy that we saw against Johnny Hendricks that was dominated. And then,
the Shawn Michaels as he lost his smile.
Yeah, good one, Manny. But Mike, you're the chief editor of LowKickMMA.com, and of course you write for MMA Mania. But just tell us a little bit about Low Kick MMA for those people out there who don't know it, and how they can find a little bit more of your work on the internet. And of course, if you have a Twitter page or any other social media you want to put out there, please feel free to put it out there, brother.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, just follow me at Mike Drahota. Drahota on Twitter. Thanks a lot for checking out all my work. And, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It was great.
Hey, definitely. Hey, look, Mike, we want to do it again. Definitely. We got UFC 172, UFC Fight Nights coming up.
Wait.
Yeah, so we want to have you back on the show again to talk more mixed martial arts, man. But thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you again soon, man.
Hit me up anytime, guys. Have a good night.
All right, great, man. You too.
Thanks, brother.
Later.
All right, man. That is, of course, Mike Drahota from LowKickMMA.com, the chief editor, and, of course, he is the editor of MMAmania.com on SB Nation, the SB Nation family of blogs. You can check him out there and follow him on Twitter. Big props for him for coming out and talking to us. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about UFC 171 when we come back. We're going into a break. It's your boy Lesson, Manny Z right next to me. This is In the Clinch and WLVS Radio, LessonVisionLive.com. We'll be back. We are back on the air. WLVS Radio, DMVCS, in the Clinch.
In
who
the
are
Clinch.
with us, of course, stateside Washington, D.C., and WLVS, and worldwide on ListenVisionLive.com. Again, big thanks to Mike Drahota from LowKickMMA.com and MMAmania.com, talking a little UFC 171 for us. Hopefully we'll have him back on the show to talk more mixed martial arts and more events as they come up. But I want to get a little bit more into the event itself, just based on from what we saw last night, as we close out this last segment of the show, heading into another glorious week. But watching last night and just seeing, as we talked last segment with Mike, the fifth round saving Johnny really, because up until with 4 minutes left to go was still anybody's fight.
Oh yeah, because it was like a movie. It was like who was going to blink first.
Yeah, and so what you saw with Johnny doing, like you said, doing the jab, overhand right, jab, overhand right, leg kick. You know, jab, overhand right, leg kick.
And he kept doing it.
And that's what was his bread and butter. He was throwing so many leg kicks, more leg kicks than I've seen him throw in quite some time.
Because usually he always powers up that big overhand right and comes over the top.
Yeah.
Or he's jumping and leaping into it. So when it connects you, you end up like Martin Kaepernick. You catch the Holy Ghost.
Exactly. And then, but Robbie last night though, using that jab to keep him at bay in the third round, and then coming up with some combinations.
And that was the definition.
And there were a couple of times we saw in the third and fourth round where he hit Johnny. He was like, oh, he stunned him. He's got him hurt.
He backed him up a couple times, because he kept the distance.
Yeah,
he stayed on the outside.
He's got him. Now, one of the things we want to talk about is that during this bout, we saw the scorecard. It was released last night of the three judges. Now, the third judge on the card that was listed on the card in one round, I believe it was the second round, gave Hendricks a 10-8 round, and then in the third round scored a 10-10.
That's when you know the judge needs LASIK, because he must have been not watching the same fight you were not
watching. But my thing is, like, you give both guys a 10. I mean, in the third round, I mean,
no.
You go. I mean, to me, I think that's excuse my language, I think that's a chicken shit way to end it. You know, because I mean, you score the fight the way with the guy you think that won the round. Yeah. I mean, and to me, and Johnny won the round in that fifth round with the takedown, with the combinations and the leg kicks. He reestablished control back into the fight.
Yes, he did.
Scored 10-9. It's over with. It's done. You know, okay, you gave him a 10-8 round. No one's gonna. I mean, even to me, that was even a little questionable, because, you know, while Johnny was tagging Robbie Lawler last night, he wasn't. I mean, it wasn't anything I think that was worthy of a 10-8 round.
No, I didn't see anything like that.
I mean, normally in a 10-8 round, you see at least a knockdown or multiple takedowns.
Right. Robbie was standing right there like, hit me. I'm right here. What do you got for me?
But that was puzzling. But looking at of course, Carlos Condit and Tyron Woodley last night. We saw the injury live last night, and it was really, really bad.
His knee exploded.
Yeah, I mean, he says exploded, but you could definitely see that something was wrong with it.
Well, the fact that when he got, it wasn't so much like the kick that particularly did it. It was when the takedown happened first. Yeah, Tyron put all his weight on him.
Yeah,
he fell down. You saw him go through his mouth guard like, oh shit. I was like, that's how you do it. He was hurt.
Exactly.
But when Tyron hit him with the tie kick in the back of the kneecap, his whole knee exploded off his quad. I said, that young man's hurt.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Tyron Woodley, because you wanted to have a more impressive victory in order to be able to get in that.
He doesn't want to win that way.
Yeah, you don't want to win that way. He said he'll take it. Of course, he'll take any victory, but, you know, when you're fighting for a title shot and you got so many guys that are just waiting to get in line for a shot now, you know, and you take any impressive victory as you can get it. And last night was not particularly impressive in the fact that he was aggressive. Yes. He did control the fight. But I think with that the way that it ended last night definitely was a damper on things for T Wood. And you know, hopefully he'll be able to rebound from that.
Oh, you will.
Now, Miles Jury. I said it.
I became a fan.
I said it last week.
I became a fan.
I said it last week. The fact that this kid was able to control this fight last night, I mean, impressively against a guy that can flip the script on so many different people, has won fight of the night 6 different times in the UFC.
That he has.
And Miles did not let it become a brawl, as we talked about last segment. And to me, it would impress me a great deal, because to be a kid that young, to be juiced up in your first major UFC pay-per-view against a guy like that who was amped up all the time. It seems like he lives on Monster energy drinks or Red Bull, you know?
Yes, so, that's what I was going to say, you know, agreeing with that, because it was like Diego just like doesn't have an off switch and gets inside the cage. I mean, the guy was glaring at him from the walkout to when he got in the cage to they announced him, he was glaring at Miles Jury.
Yeah, you know. And it kind of reminded me again, and I know this isn't a good comparison, but it reminded me of the demeanor that Rampage had during his fight against John Jones.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
To me, when I was, the looks he was giving in the camera, which is sort of what Rampage does, he intimidates people because he's a scary looking dude, man. I mean, he's a huge guy. He has great knockout power.
Dynamite.
You know, he can whip your ass either in a street fight or in the octagon. And he looked like that, and then for 4 rounds, pretty much got schooled by John Jones. It's sort of like the same thing happened last night. It just the mind up here. You can't get caught up in all that and get sucked into that.
Still can't
the
take
mental
Rampage.
game.
Rampage Jackson, when I was coming up as a kid, and you probably know this from the Pride stuff.
Of course,
that he was the first fighter I ever saw knock out somebody with a body slam.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could do that in real life.
Yeah, no, of course. And then, of course, Jake Shields and Lombard, very underwhelming fight.
Oh.
And then OSP with the submission that he pulled out of the rabbit's hat last night.
I have to find out how to do that submission lesson. I didn't think you could do that in real life. That I could choke a guy while I'm in a one-arm guillotine on the ground and just pull to the point where the ref says stop, and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the blood in his head just went defibrillating right out of his body.
Yeah, I mean, so just our thoughts on the night last night as well. But we're going to close the night because we couldn't do that without giving you a Diaz brothers reference. Yes. So
again, with the Diaz brothers.
So we know that, of course, Nick has been campaigning for Dana White and anyone who will listen for a shot at the welterweight crown after he's been inactive
He's not ranked in the top 10 anymore.
He's been inactive. He's been inactive right now for the better part of a number of months, close to a year.
Yeah.
The Diaz brothers, of course, don't mince their words at all. So Nate has to say this last night on Twitter. My brother beat all of these motherfuckers. # whack-ass Hendricks. # sorry-ass judges. Okay, I kind of get you on the judges' tips because a 10-10 round, like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
I get you on that.
But he beat Johnny Hendricks. I do not think so, Nate. Yeah. Something is in your dope.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, he these two guys, man, they need a reality show, man. The Diaz brothers need a reality show.
Yes, they do. I would watch.
If they put that on, if they
team up with Ocho Cinco and Tio,
that would be must-see TV. Shout out to Jordan K for that reference.
Exactly, man. But those two guys, they need a reality show. You put that on Fox Sports 1. Or the Fuel TV and have these kids.
Can you imagine the viewership?
Yeah, I mean,
go through the roof.
I mean, seriously. I mean, if people watch, bullshit like Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they watch stuff like,
America's Most Ratchet TV.
and Love and Hip Hop and other stuff like that, dude, I would watch and set my DVR to the Diaz brothers in a reality show.
Can you imagine them going to Starbucks?
I'm gonna park right here, dude. No, the fuck you're not, man. What the fuck are you talking about,
man? You know how many people I knocked out in the cage, bro?
Come at me. You're paying for this. You're paying for this bag of weed, bro. I picked up the last one.
Exactly.
Like, seriously.
Or Jake Shields comes and try to play mediator. Guys, come on, let's not fight. No, Jake, don't hold me back. I can take him. I'm a Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He has nothing for me. And blah, 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 blah.
And, of course, man, the Diaz brothers just not letting the sun shine, as always. But, shout out to them. But, Joe, it's almost our time to get out of here, man. We want to give a shout-out to all of the listeners, of course. You guys make sure you're following us on Twitter, at DMVCS on Twitter, at DMVCS2 on Instagram, Facebook, DMVCS Radio. You can email us, godmvcs@gmail.com. Once again, we want to thank Mike Drahota from lowkickmma.com and also MMAmania.com for joining us to talk UFC 171. Shout out to DJ Jordan K for manning the spaceship once again for us on a Sunday evening journey. And shout out, of course, to everyone here at WLVS and the family for showing love. And, of course, all the viewers. We'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. WLVS Radio, Listen Vision Live, DMVCS and the Clinch. We talk more combat sports. Until then, peace out.
Peace out.
Yeah, it's game time. This game, your time. Is it now? Insane. This game for the crown. Is it now? Stakes high, put it down. This game, your time, put it down. Let's go. Welcome to the game. Now here's your starting lineup. Brought to you by E-Dub, official with the sign up. Having 40 minutes pressure, Arkansas to Pine Bluff. Little Rocks with gangs bang until they fucking time's up. Fire like it's pre-game pyro. Ready off this hype and I'm high off hydro. Once the clock starts, then it's on to the minute. Ballin' like LeBron off the palm till I'm finished in it. Until the last second is spent. And I'ma play the point till you niggas forfeit or quit or offer to split. Critics
talking shit like it's hands up and man down. I'm at the 50 with chin strapped to stand ground. Game time and my pulse racing like stock cars. 200 laps and I'm checking flag like a rock star. And give a damn what your thoughts are. W's counting them out, checking the bank like Bart Star. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it breaking hard till the break of dawn. Break of dawn, break of dawn, break of dawn. Till the break of dawn. Count slow, stakes high till the break of dawn. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it breaking hard till the break of dawn. Break of dawn, break of dawn, break of dawn. Till the break of dawn. Count slow, stakes high till the break of dawn. You hear the clap, get a round of applause. Fools shouting out their name to hear the sound of their cars. You ain't making any calls on the yard. The only cause you had is to press pause and make a call to your squad. I ain't never been at grips with the law. The only grip that I had is my 5 fingers, that's my fist to your jaw. Me and Dale's take a trip from the bricks to the shore. Flip the switch, clip the sticks, I get lifted for sure. Only want what we came for. Rolling through PG with Dale for the main course. So we take DC in the loop with the same force. Find us live at the barbecue like we main source. Insane boss, I'm talking riches in the millions. Stack it to the ceiling in the office, right in our own building. Stakes high, what's the call? Mission critical condition. The miss niggas with napalm.